So going back, obviously being an entrepreneur, I'm sure you've overcome many obstacles, but is there one that stands out to you that was like very transformational that you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, no, gosh, there's so many, right? And I think you asked the question. I think, how did you know choices?
And sometimes the top ones are the ones dancing on the value.
Well, it's easy, right? If they weren't your top person, it'd be easy. Oh, we can just let them go. But also, we have to
be like, how did you get Geraci to become such a household name in this industry that like everyone knows who Geraci is? Like everyone does. And is it mostly, do you think having the conference was like a massive help to that?
For sure, yeah. So rewind back to American Association of Private Lenders.
Welcome back to another episode of Simple Chat. I'm your host, Janine Cascio, the CEO and founder of Simplending Financial. And today we have a very special guest with us, my Italian brother. Anthony, do you mind introducing yourself to our audience?
No, of course. I'm Anthony Geraci, founder and CEO of Geraci LLP. We've done private lending law for 2 decades and love the space. I founded American Association of Private Lenders, as well as I have a student loan company called Stratus Financial, and then a virtual employment agency called Move Your Biz. So stay busy.
Love it. Yes. So as you know, the Simple Chat's all about your entrepreneur journey, kind of giving some tips and tricks to our audience who's filled with being entrepreneurs. So I'm just curious because, you've scaled and had Geraci and really became such a household name in this industry. And it's such a niche industry. But like, what mindset shifts did you have to like kind of go through? Because like, of course, you were a lawyer, maybe worked for yourself. Then how did you have that mindset shift of being like, I could be the number one lawyer in this industry?
Yeah, I wish I could tell you it was all a master plan that, I set out at the beginning to be number one. From the beginning, I've always loved being an entrepreneur. I think I tracked it down when I was 15 years old, and I would be on eBay, like one of the first people on eBay back in the day. And I would take books, Anne Rice books, for those who like her, and I would take what they had called book plates, which was just signed signatures that wasn't on a book, but Anne Rice had signed them. So I put the signatures on the book in the books, and now they were first edition signed copies. And so I just took 2 things and sold them. And I really just think that's been my claim to fame, is take 2 things that may not match, and I put them together and somehow they match. So fast forward to when I was an attorney, just working as an attorney in the private lending industry. I knew I wanted more, definitely my own firm, but I never thought about it being number one or anything like that at all. That'd be crazy. But I knew I wanted my own firm. I wanted to be that entrepreneur, take the chance and build something. And, you talk about mindset shifts, and it's really funny. I've thought about that quite a bit, and my mindset has shifted from, as you said, an attorney doing the work, right? The person who just has to do the work. And then it shifts to manager. So I'm still doing work at the same time. Yeah. But now I'm also mentoring someone at the same time. And I think, as you know, also, funny if you spend more time doing that than doing the work in the first place. But it's worth the investment, because eventually you train people and they do that. So you can do either more work or go to the next level.
And you buy back your time.
You got it. And then now you're really, for us it's rainmaking, right? For you it's deal making and getting deals for your team to work on. And that's another mindset shift, is I'm no longer doing work, right? My value is no longer tied to producing something. It's more of coaching people and then going to find the deals. So a lot of mindset shifts over time.
So my next question would be like, how did you get Geraci to become such a household name in this industry that like everyone knows who Geraci is? Like everyone does. And is it mostly, do you think having the conference was like a massive help to that?
For sure, yeah. So rewind back to American Association of Private Lenders. There were definitely like state level conferences. There's a California Mortgage Association, for instance, and Arizona had one as well. But right around 2008, that's when the SAFE Act came out. And you really start to see national regulation of lenders, not quite private lenders as we know it, but you saw more of, if you will, you said Congress really take more interest in all lending. just because of what happened with the subprime crash and crisis and the crash that led to that. So I saw more regulation on the horizon, and so that led me to find American Association of Private Lenders. And as a result of that, filling that niche, and then AAPL had different leadership changes, and they're going in a direction that I wasn't confident that would go in. And so that's when I founded our own conference line in about 2015. And I think so, because I think the hallmark of my conferences, at least, is see a need, fill a need. It's never been salesy. It's not like, hey, you got to buy from me, and we have plenty of people that go to the conferences that don't even use us, and likely never will. They have their own needs already filled. But my theory has always been, you get people in the same room talking and networking, hopefully they'll think kindly of you. And so maybe that goes as part of it. They think kindly, like, yes, you got to go to Geraci conference. Yeah, even though don't use them. But generally speaking, if you don't use me, you use clients who use me. So either way, I get bigger as a benefit. So I think that's helped a lot. And then just hopefully my attitude of service. How do I serve you at the end of the day?
I love that. And that kind of goes into my next question, because my next question is like, when you are growing and scaling a company, it's so important to keep your reputation in line. And it's so important to, still be that household name that's trustworthy. And like hiring some people that don't go with your values can be completely, ruin your company in a sense. So like how, do you have any tips for the young entrepreneur looking to grow and scale, but still be that trustworthy company?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of scenarios, right? Always, if you don't follow your own values, nobody else is going to, right? You set the standard as CEO. So that's first and foremost. And I can tell you, your values aren't what you say they are. Your values are what you live. So if you say one thing and do another, that's not really your value. But your second question is, well, what do you have when you have people who don't live to your values? You've got a choice, and these are kind of the hard choices, CEOs make, is do you keep that person in, even if everything else, they're hitting every other marker and they're crushing. They could be your number one salesperson, but they're unethical.
Yeah.
What do you do? To me, the choice is
sometimes the top ones are the ones dancing on the value.
Well, it's easy, right? If they weren't your top person, it'd be easy. We can just let them go. But also, we had the pressure of we got to have sales and revenue. It's like, well, they may be unethical here, but we try to rationalize and justify it. And honestly, the best answer is let them go as well, because if they don't fit your values and they don't fit what you're doing, even though they're the top producing person, they're going to become problematic for you at some point.
I hear you. So going back, obviously being an entrepreneur, I'm sure you overcome many obstacles, but is there one that stands out to you that was like very transformational that you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, no. Gosh, there's so many, right? And I think you asked the question. I think, how did you know, that this was a business or so, and how did you know it was going to go? We were going through a lot of problems in the early, 2009, 2010. This is kind of when, because we're representing mortgage lenders. That's all I've done is represent mortgage lenders my entire career. And you've got a lot of trouble in the space. You've got a lot of mortgage companies blowing up and everything like that. I still remember like it was yesterday, getting advice to one of our clients who, hey, we're about to go through bankruptcy. And they were our largest client. So, of course, I'm starting to think like, oh, gosh, what does that mean for us? It came down to us, moving out of our high-rise unit and moving into a leaner unit. So that's a little bit humbling, right? If you take a step back, maybe. But sometimes you take a step back to go a few steps forward. So, we got leaner as a result of our business, laid off a couple of attorneys, laid off a couple staff. So that's humbling, right? And the scaling to the future, sometimes you do take a step back to take two steps forward. So that was something. And then just realizing, what else do you have to take on, and what else do you have to massage or move to get to the next step?
So what's next for you? Because I know you're going through some changes right now. Like, what's next for Geraci Law? And then, I want to end off with other passions, because I know you wear many hats. So let's first find out what's next for you in the near future.
Yeah, so I think as probably widely known at this point, Geraci LLP is what I call 2.0 right now. And We're in our next phase, which our next phase looks very similar to our old phase, which is, how do we continue to serve our clients? How do we continue to serve the private lending space? It's something I've done for 2 decades. I love it. I'm going to continue to do it. My goal is always to be at the forefront of what's going on. So what's next is launching a new conference line in February.
Nice.
So the details come out actually this Friday coming out. But I'll give you a little snapshot here, which will be a lot of fun. Is we've got the securitizers in the space, and every conference really has a capital markets panel. It's really funny, right? It's always talking about capital markets, but who's gotten lost in the shuffle, I think, are your balance sheet lenders. People are just buying and holding, and they're not fitting their deals in a box, but they're making good deals. But they're not really beholden to capital markets. They're a little sensitive maybe if they got a larger line, but generally speaking, they keep leverage low. So all that to say is the next conference line, we're going to actually have 3 tracks, and we're going to bring brokers into the space, and they're going to have their own track. We're going to have balance sheet lenders as a track, and then securitizers as a track too. And the idea is definitely create a networking space for all 3, because there's going to be a lot of cross flow. But when it comes down to tracks, it's, again, capital markets, of course, huge play, and securitizers. Totally understand why you watch that every single time. But, your balance sheet lenders, here's how you get compliant. Here's how you lend compliantly across states. Here's how, the next hotel deal may be your best deal. So just different tracks and different education for different players in the space. And my goal is to create one whole ecosystem, bring them all together.
Love that. Very awesome. Looking forward to, attending and seeing what that's going to be about. So what are other passions and ventures Anthony Geraci is up to?
Oh, gosh. Well, I have the student loan company. So we do student loans to pilots with Stratus Financial. That's been a passion project, if you will. I learned how to fly a few years ago, and just hanging around the flight school, you got to see a need there. So that's been a lot of fun. Virtual employment agency, get to talk about bringing people from other countries into work, and we get the cost savings of the labor, but also getting good people on your team is always a necessity, no matter where they're from. And then other than that, my goal, again, the next 5 to 10 years is how do I continue to add value to the private lending space, and what more can we bring together to make all that happen? So it's a labor of love for the most part.
Love it. So where can people find you and connect with you and use your services?
Yeah, so you can go to www.Geraci, and that's Geraci LLP.com. Feel free to email me, Anthony@GeraciLLP.com. You can find me on LinkedIn under the same name, and whatever we can do to help. And again, even if I just need to connect you with somebody, my Rolodex is open to anybody. Let me know how I can help you.
Love it. Thank you so much for being on Simple Chat, Anthony.
Thanks for having me, Janine. Really a pleasure.